You're on the air
In 5.
now.
Hello and welcome to Cognitions, Speaking the Unspeakable with JP.
It's Stacy.
I am JP Craddock, and that is my girl, Stacy D. Love.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hey, Mr. Walker, he's unbelievable, you guys. I'm sorry, I apologize.
We are broadcasting at the station, KUAW Radio.
We're in the house.
Knowledge, understanding,
And wisdom.
yes. And
What I hear.
okay, so I'm not even gonna say anything about what just happened. Okay, we're good. We're rolling.
5, 4, nope, now. Yeah.
Okay, coming up on the show
Only in our
today,
life.
we have our question of the day, which is,
I didn't know we had a question. I thought I was just talking about Proverbs 31.
well, that's the question. That's in
Oh,
place of the
okay.
question of the day,
Oh,
Stacy.
okay.
D. Now, come on,
Okay.
D.
Okay, and everybody want everyone to know that I am not a minister by no ways, even though my pastor say everyone's a minister of God, as long as you giving the word. But I want to give homage to my pastor, Reverend W. Storr. Love you to death, even though, I act funny acting because I be coming to church and getting out. Also I have a couple of late ministers who I've always been in the tutelage, and that's Reverend Benjamin Stevenson of Antioch Missionary Baptist Church. That's where I was grown and was a little pup, and also Bishop White. He just passed a couple of years ago. And also my father in Christ is Reverend DeBose. So I'm getting all of this knowledge, what I'm about to give to you guys, it's strictly come from today, and also my First Lady store, which we have went through the Women of Integrity training for about 5 years. But so I have taken notes and I have prayed about it, and so I'm going to be able to give this to you guys to the best of my knowledge and my ability with God. Thank you.
Now, give us the title again, D.
I already said it.
I know, but can because I missed Proverbs
31 woman.
31.
That's in Proverbs 31.
All right. So that is coming up on the show today. And we're going to do our check-in. We have mental health and illness in the news also coming up on the show. Stacy D, what's your check-in?
Let me see what went on today.
Okay, talk about the dog, because to those of you who listened or who saw the show, for those of you who were watching it on Facebook Live and YouTube, a couple of dogs popped up on the screen. Because
Mr. Walker keep telling y'all he is 2 clicks from being fired up in here.
Because this, I can't see anything on this screen.
We can't see anything, Mr. Walker.
Here's what happened.
Oh,
The D wanted her dogs up on the screen, but you didn't explain why the dogs was on the screen.
Well, we didn't get to that because we was like, it's some good conversation last week. Okay, so Mr. Walker, can you bring the first dog up still?
oh, now you want the dog back.
Oh, you want the dog. Okay, sorry. So anybody see the dog with the Adidas outfit on, that was Sire. Sire is the one that one of my neighbors gave rat poison, and he's no longer with us. But he is cremated and he's sitting up on the shelf now. And then the new baby is, I want my listeners to help me think of a new name, because yes, please, I'm having such a hard time because I'm getting a girl this time, and she's gonna be here the middle of next month, beginning of January, depending on how her health is. She was born October 6th, which is because all my babies are born in my birthday month. So Sarah was born October the 10th, and this baby was born October the 6th. Even though I really shouldn't be getting another baby now because I'm not through with the healing process, but I need my baby. So I have a couple of names, you guys. Okay. I have Queenie, Cutie, Shug, Majesty.
Is this a boy or a girl?
It's a girl.
Oh, okay. Suge Avery.
Yeah.
I'll vote for Suge Avery.
You work for Shug?
I'll vote for Suge Avery.
I like Cutie and Queenie, Shug, and Majesty. Those are the 4 names.
Well, now,
Okay,
when you first started this process of picking a name 3 months ago, You were wanting. You've been picking a name for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
You were wanting a name that kind of bounced off of sire, which would be something along the line of majesty or queenie or something along that line.
Plus, I'm getting a Maltese, and the history with the Maltese is that they were royalty dogs. You didn't have no money if you did not have a Maltese sitting on your lap. If the queen did not have a Maltese sitting on her lap, she wasn't no good. So that's how I came up with sire.
This says a lot about the D why she loves these dogs. Okay.
Cause I'm the queen.
You the queen, and you want that dog.
I want my dog. I love them. And plus, they're the closest thing to a hyperallergenic dog, and I have so many allergies. Me and my grandchildren, so it's a good dog, and they're so loyal.
And they don't shed much.
They don't shed at all.
Okay, this is great. I need for my wife to hear.
But they do have allergies.
What's that? What? Her dog had ADHD and 3 or 4 other mental health diagnoses. What could be worse? Now, the allergies, what do you have to give us some medication?
Some Benadryl.
Oh, that's cheap over the counter.
Okay. Some peanut butter and give it, as long as they're not allergic to peanut butter. Sire wasn't allergic to peanut butter, so I was able to.
Okay.
Yeah, give him some peanut butter, some his allergy Benadryl and some peanut butter and
Okay, our previous dog shed like crazy. It was a small dog, but he did big dog shedding. I'm talking hairballs the size of my head, just a lot of shedding. And so
but your hair's really not that big.
It is when it's a little dog and his hair all over the place. It was disgusting. And so, and my wife, she has already started, we should get another dog. We should get another dog.
Oh,
I'm like,
my baby is so wonderful. She's a pound and 3 ounces right now.
Okay. Little and not shedding.
No shedding.
So I need for Nadine Marie to keep this in mind. Okay. So the list of names you want our listeners to vote in on what they like the most. Most of them like Majesty. Okay. But we see what the rest of them like. I'm telling you all what you like. Okay. Y'all like Majesty.
I like Queenie though. I really like Queenie. Queenie or Suge. I like Suge. And Suge has nothing to do with royalty, but I just really like Suge. Suge! Because you got to say it. My one friend was like, Stacy, you got to say it loud. Suge, come here. Suge!
Well, I like Suge because when I hear Suge, I imagine that food getting thrown up against the wall in the color purple. Yes. So I like Suge, but I like Majesty. I do like Queenie. I think Majesty might be more original, but Queenie is more for a female. So
it's a girl.
Yes. So
I did have royalty, and nobody liked that name. Nobody liked that.
Why didn't anybody like that name?
It just didn't go with anyone. And you know what? It's a little chilly in here. Can we close the door?
Okay. Now, I got a message. from a listener saying, Mr. Walker, they can hear you. When we want them to hear you. When we want them to hear you, Mr. Walker, they can't. We have to tell them what you had to say. And now they hearing you processing. This is good, though, because you might wonder what... Mr. Walker, weigh in on this dog mess real quick.
Yeah, Mr. Walker, tell me your name. What you think? What's your name? We got Suge, Queenie, Majesty. Suge, Queenie, Majesty.
You see, I named my dog Hennessy.
Hennessy?
What was the name? Suge?
Mr. Walker, I don't know she should do Hennessy.
I'm not gonna do Hennessy.
I think she's gonna do Jack Daniels.
Let's vote.
Seagram 7.
I'm gonna tell everybody to vote. I love to hear let the listeners to weigh in on this.
Suge.
You like Suge? Yes, Suge.
The professor's voting for Suge.
Yeah, the professor voted for Suge.
All right.
Queenie. I forgot the names.
Suge, Queenie,
Majesty.
Majesty.
There was 4 of them.
Well, to the listeners, if you think of any additional names that Stacy B did not name that are befitting of a dog that is royal.
He's royal.
Okay. then go to our Facebook page and send those names, and Stacy will take a look at them, and she will let you all know on the air what name she chose. Let me prepare you. She has been going through this name choosing thing for like 3 months.
Yeah. But Sarah had his name 2 years before he was even born. I knew I wanted to name him Sire.
Okay. So it's a process.
It's a process, most definitely. Like when you have a baby.
No. But I'm glad that you mentioned that, because now we can get to my check-in. Here's my check-in. I was speaking with someone who adopted a child, and they adopted him as an infant. Everything was going along fine. Everything was going along great until he reached a certain age, and a family member, a kid in the family, made a comment to him that you ain't my real family because dogs get adopted. And at that point, this kid's behavior changed and has never been the same. He has never been the same. This was probably 9 or 10 years ago. Diagnostically, what has evolved from just that moment is attachment disorder, reactive attachment disorder, and kids who have experienced abandonment, rejection, abuse, different things like that will oftentimes succumb to the diagnosis of attachment disorder. There's 2 types. There's disinhibited and then there's inhibited. The disinhibited is when the kid has lost significant loved ones, and so they just attach to anyone. Like they meet someone, they love the person, they attach to the person. They're, you send them to school that morning, they come home, they got a new girlfriend, they in love with her, and they get married. That's the disinhibited. The inhibited are those people who, because of loss and rejection and abandonment, they do not attach. And so when this kid was told this, because they have a dog that they had adopted. And so his perspective most likely was, dogs get adopted. I'm on the level of the dog. And so here's the problem that I have. Every other pet is purchased. You buy a rabbit for your kids, You
can adopt rabbits too.
You buy a cat. I have a problem with saying adopting.
You can adopt the cat and the rabbit.
I have a problem with adopting
even the
pets.
hamsters.
I have a problem with using the term adoption
when it comes
for
to
pets, because you have kids out there who have been adopted and they're already struggling to process this. They're already struggling to make sense of it. And this kid has never been the same. And kids with attachment disorder, the behavioral problems are
off the chain.
And
it's so hard to reel them back in.
Despite trying to portray a positive image of adoption and presenting you are a chosen child. Like, this isn't, your parents didn't just get knocked up in the back seat of a Chevy. Like, they chose you. And there are thousands of kids who never get adopted. Exactly. Despite trying to pour all that into him, he looks at them and he is stuck on that I'm not truly a part of the family. Dogs get adopted. And so this is something to think about. I understand that, I don't know if it was the animal rights people or whatever, to increase the amount of adoptions of dogs, because there is a great need. So many dogs are abandoned and people not spaying and neutering and all these different things. And so to create this, because I'm going to present the other side, to create this, hey, this is more than a pet, this is a part of your family. But we have to think about the fact that term originally was assigned to the adoption of humans. So that's my check-in.
So what's
that's
the
my
other side
skill
of
on
that?
Well, the other side was I understand why they switched to the term adoption to increase the amount of adoptions of dogs and to send the message this is a part of your family. But I have a problem with it.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you Stacy D's part of this that I have a problem with.
Go ahead, D.
Number one, and everybody, I'm sorry, everybody know I'm old school. We've been going through this for what? 11 months now. We're about to go on an anniversary in January. So everyone know my take on everything. Number one, those parents should not have been talking adult business in front of that child. Number two, that child should not have repeated anything that was said in them four walls. Are you listening to me, Jackie?
I am listening. I don't know how I think the family member said it directly to this kid. This wasn't.
I thought one of the little kids said it to him.
The little kid said it. But what adults are you talking about that was.
Well, how did the little kid know about it?
Well, you know, everybody in the family knows that a kid is they weren't keeping the adoption a secret, which that's a whole nother thing when parents keep it a secret from kids that they are adopted, and then there's this, fear that somebody in the family is going to let the cat out of the bag.
Well,
the whole family knew, but kids are kids. Kids are kids. They got into an argument. They got into an argument.
Well, they need to learn how the kids know how to crow better then.
Well, this is beyond crowing, D. This is like the kid probably was crowing pretty well.
Mean. Kids are so mean.
Very mean.
Very mean. Yeah, and then also I will go back to you have kin folks and then you have family.
Well, exactly, and obviously but it was a kid. I mean, it's kind of hard to, even if they explained to him, listen, that family member is just there, he's like, we hang out with them. And he meant what he said to me.
He did.
And I don't know.
That's really sad. That hurts my heart.
It's
really hurts
sad.
My heart.
It broke his heart. That's what happened. Like, his heart broke in that moment.
Right.
So.
Well, if it makes it feel any better, and you need to do this cast to the young man. My kids were jealous of Sire.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Because
they said I treated Sire better than I ever treated them.
Well, I will say, I'm not going to say that my mother, rest her soul, treated our dog better than us, but he did get gravy made from scratch every day on his dog food. So, and he had his own bed.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a twin.
Really?
It was a full size.
Sarah slept with me.
Yeah, no. Well, this was a huge dog. It was a great thing.
Oh, Lord, you had a big old baby.
And he had his own bed. And he had gravy made from scratch on his food every day.
Every day.
And when my mom would go out of town, I would throw water on his dog food.
Would he eat it?
No. And it'd swell up and get all puffy, and you know how it starts stinking after a couple of days. But I was like, I don't cook gravy. So, some people do treat their dogs like they are their kids. But if you are a kid, you know the difference between a dog and you, and to feel like you on the same level. Because your kids may have said that you treated Sire better than them, but they knew they came first.
Yeah, they knew they came first.
Right.
I don't know.
Don't play with me, D.
Guess what? Sire did not talk back.
Didn't break curfew.
Exactly. He didn't make a mess all in the house.
Okay. Well, I am hoping that we can move away from saying that dogs are adopted.
Dogs are adopted.
I just think that it's
animals. Period. Get adopted.
Yeah. Let's move away from that, people. Let's move away from that. Okay, Stacy, let's get to mental health and illness in the news.
Okay, what you have, JP?
I have a couple of stories, but I don't think we're gonna have time for both of them because we got to get to Proverbs 30.
Yes.
All right. Recently, a Raiders player was driving apparently under the influence of alcohol, and they clocked him. Apparently, he was driving 156 miles an hour.
Hey, everybody, there goes Sarah. Sorry.
Wait.
You didn't put him on there? Okay. He came up. I thought he was on the screen. Okay, go.
Let me know if Sire pops up.
Okay.
A Raiders player by the name of Henry Ruggs was driving at 156 miles an hour, plowed into the back of a car, and killed a woman by the name of Tina Tentora and her dog.
And her dog?
And her dog. The dog was in the car. When they tested him, his blood alcohol level was more than twice the legal limit. So this young athlete was just drafted last year, was a first-round draft pick. Here are my thoughts as far as the mental health and illness piece. I'm wondering, how does the league prepare young athletes fresh out of college for that transition? It is a huge transition from being a college athlete to being a professional athlete with all the money that comes with it and the fame and all of these different things. Now, diagnostically, what we are talking about, and we've talked about this so many times, this is why this diagnosis is so common in all of its different forms, is adjustment disorder with disturbance of conduct, because there's many different types of adjustment disorder. And typically when we talk about the adjustment disorders, we're talking about people's struggles to adjust to things that are negative, harmful, hurtful, grief, loss, all of these different things. But what I want everyone to know is that something good can happen and you can experience adjustment disorder to something good. You get a new job and you're nervous, about your first day coming up, and it's a whole different field for you, and you're wondering, am I going to be able to learn everything? That's adjustment disorder with anxiety. Adjustment disorder with disturbance of conduct could easily take place in a person making the transition from college athlete to professional athlete. And also when you think about your other celebrities, your actors and actors and actresses and your musicians who struggle with that transition, and they end up on the news for all sorts of reckless behavior.
Very reckless.
Now, I'm not saying that adjustment disorder with disturbance of conduct is his diagnosis, because I do not know him and I do not know if he was struggling to adjust to fame and success.
I'm sure he was.
But I would hope that the league has something in place as a preventative measure to assist young athletes with this transition.
Actually, the league does.
Okay,
they
how do they have
classes? It's classes, and it's supposed to be classes on dealing with the social media, dealing with
the press,
dealing with how to do your money, how to conduct yourself. It's like 10 classes, and then the league also have babysitters.
To babysit the athletes?
Yeah, but they don't. I call them babysitters.
I just babysit them. Okay.
I call them babysitters,
but they're like mentors.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they're not even like mentors. They're just like they probably get about $70,000 a year, and like they're just supposed to be out and keep an eye on them. Like it should have been somewhere, even though they can't save them, but try to save them. Like if he was like at a big party, say for instance, like I'm not gonna talk about my Chiefs, but the Raiders had a big party somewhere, right? And then it was babysitters there to make sure that all the players that were drinking a lot was able to get home safely. So they have something like that in place. But they also have those classes. But we don't know where he came from. He probably came from the strip club or something.
Regardless, his babysitter clearly was not present.
Yeah, his babysitter. But they are, and really, those first 2 years, they are really, really on them, because this is the time, because you think about it, most of the athletes came from, I'm being so stereotypical, but came from low income families.
Okay.
That the most of them did. So
which
they're
makes
not,
the transition even bigger.
harder. Yes. So they don't understand all the recognition and all the fame and all the glory. And even when they lose a game, they take it so hard because they were also, when they were kids, when they lose the game, you know, hey, this is your fame of getting about the, you know, things of that nature. So yeah, the league does have something in place for those players, those at least those first 2 years.
Well, you mentioning that makes me think about accountability. Because if the league has something in place and what they have in place was not present to assist or to prevent this tragic accident, well, that's more accountability for the league.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate. And I don't know the specifics. Thank you for sharing that information, Stacy D, because I didn't know what they had in place. And
It's in the basketball league. I think it's all of them. They have all that. It's a whole class they have to go through. Yeah.
okay, perhaps they need more than the 10 sessions or the sitter. I'm using Stacy D's term, so anyone out
You know,
there,
I try
please
to
do
keep
not
it
be
simple.
offended by if you are one of these people who babysits
You are a
athletes, and we're calling you a babysitter.
A babysitter.
Because somewhere there's a sitter. I ain't no babysitter.
I know.
I'm a professional. Okay, we don't know what else to call you right now. Okay, so whoever it is, whatever the system is, obviously it needs to be looked at again to enhance it so that simple things like drunk driving can be prevented.
It most definitely should be prevented.
I mean, this is as simple as calling Uber. So, all right, my next mental health and illness in the news story. This actually isn't a news story. I want to talk about a docuseries that is on Sirius, titled "Who Was Prince?"
You know, I love me some Prince.
This docuseries is
I really do like. I mean, I was more of a Prince fan because you either had Prince or Michael Jackson. You couldn't have both.
Oh my God!
And I love the Prince. I love that man.
So this docuseries is absolutely incredible. It provides insight into and I don't like when this person was a musical genius. They didn't even do that. They just
Really?
presented who he was, and as you watched it,
You'd be like,
he was literally a genius.
yes.
This docuseries talks about how Prince would write a song every day, and could write a song things would just come to him, and he would just immediately be able to write a song, play all the instruments.
All those instruments.
Yes, and so it made it really clear why people have always said that Prince was a musical genius. What it also does is it addresses how his genius was born from pain in childhood experiences.
Yes.
Which is so
Common
common
about that.
for artistic people to have experienced some heartache or some pain or just some struggles in childhood. And so what I like about it is that it presented both the good as well as things that were perhaps not so good. They didn't just present, okay, we're going to say every positive thing about Prince, and we're going to leave out some of the things that may not have been all that wonderful about him. They just threw it all out there like, this is it.
This is it, and you digest it.
That's it, and you digest it, and they did a wonderful job. But just psychologically, when you look at just how he came to be who he was, the things that played a role in that, it made a lot of things make sense that he would not talk about when he was living.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the things that, Prince would...
Because he was an introvert.
Yes. Well, he was an eccentric person. And so this docuseries explains a lot of that. So You need to check that out, D.
Where did he get the song Little Red Corvette from?
I don't know if they said where Little Red Corvette came from. Where you think they?
I don't know.
I assumed he owned one.
He owned one?
I assumed he owned one.
Oh. And that one song about grind, it was Nicky Grind. Boy, I used to be the stuff back in the day.
That's too much to even talk about on this radio station right now.
Really got real. It was like in
that was probably
school?
That song came out before he became Jehovah's Witness, because that was real. That was graphic.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was a graphic.
Yeah, that was
cut right there. So, but yeah, even if you are not a Prince fan,
and it's on which channel?
It's on Sirius satellite radio. Even if you are not, I'm sure you can find it other places too. But yes, this docuseries, it really is educational in kind of explaining how things that happens in childhood can unfold.
Oh, most definitely.
And for some people, it unfolds in a negative way and they become self-destructive. And then for other people, it just enhances their God-given talent and just propels them to a level of just being an artistic genius. So that's a good one to check out. All right, D. Tell us about Proverbs 31. Tell us.
And everyone know I am always speaking about a Proverbs 31 woman. This was something that I have been hearing since I was a child from my great-grandparents. Well, actually my great-grandmother. She will always be on me about little bitty things. I mean, like, even as a woman, even as a little girl, when I had all the little girlfriends and we on the phone, she was like, no, those are not characteristics of a Proverbs 31 woman. So with me going, and I have been doing this for almost 2 weeks, and everyone knows I very seldom have papers. But today I have quite a few papers. I'm like JP.
I'm impressed with all.
I am gonna actually touch on 14 Pacific ones. I'm not gonna read that whole Proverbs 31 to you. I'm gonna do that at your leisure. But I usually go to the New Living Testament, because it breaks it down and makes it a little bit more clear for me, okay? So let's get started. The Proverbs 31 is the 31st and the final chapter of the book of Proverbs in the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament of the Christian Bible. Verse 1 through 9 presents the advice which King Lemon's mother, so I'm sorry you guys, because I said it was a king what told his father last week. But if I went in and read some more, it was his mother. His mama gave him the information on what to look for a good wife or an ideal woman. So this was another woman telling her son what to look for his wife. What does it mean to be a Proverbs 31 woman? Being a Proverbs 31 woman it's not about being perfect. It's about living in your purpose, in your forgiveness, and being able to ask for forgiveness and repentance. So often women read the passage of a Proverbs 31 woman and decide, this is not for me. This is impossible. Or they feel pressed by the perfect wife and mother, the perfect woman. The only perfect person is Jesus Christ, and we are made perfect through him. Where I am weak, he is strong. The first objective that I want to get on is being virtue. A wife of noble character who can find. As women of value, when you look at virtue, you think of value. As a woman of value, as 31 woman, we are fighting a spiritual battle. Remember, it is a woman's faith that makes her virtuous. Not a list of tasks that I got to do, wash dishes, make the bed. No. It's my faith. Her heart in response to God's probing. She's a woman of a mission. She is always ready, willing, and able to face each task and trial She know God is on her side, and with him on her side, anything is possible. The next one I want to hit on is faith, faithfulness, and reverence. Your husband has full confidence. This is from the Proverbs. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of his life. And that's Proverbs 31, 11, and 12. This verse doesn't only apply to married people. Once again, we are talking about being a Proverbs woman, not a Proverbs wife, because you first have to be a woman to become a wife. Okay, so if you replace the word as husband with people, and it applies to all of us. A Proverbs woman is someone who, with people, spreads love around and being trustworthy and honest. Her willingness to help others is evidenced in how she treats those around her. Most wives desire to bring peace, joy, and love to their marriage. Only sometimes we lose sight of what really matters when faced with the day-to-day realities of life. A Proverbs 31 wife respects her husband and is trustworthy. We are a helpmate to him. Sometimes husbands are hard to love and even harder to respect.
My wife don't agree with that. But continue on.
I don't talk today, D.
Continue on, D.
Because sometimes, even as being a woman, we wonder, where in the hell did this man come from? This was not the man I fell in love with. But when you're dating, they give you the best. And we also give them our best. And when I was dating my husband, he had his place and I had my place. And then when he asked my children and my father to be my husband, then that's when we came to one house. And boy, honey, child, that's when it was bad.
Did he get, I was going to say it got interesting.
It got very interesting.
You said the word bad. We can go with that.
It got very interesting. I mean, I've seen all of his flaws. Men stink.
Wait a minute, D.
Man, yeah.
You sitting here next to somebody who's smelling.
I'm up in here with 3 men.
Designer colognes. I don't know about Mr. Walker. The D might be talking about Mr. Walker and the professor.
No.
Mr.
Walker's like, nah, he's smelling good too. So what you talking about, D?
I mean, y'all just have like a little funky. I had to remember because when I thought back, I was like, okay, my girls stayed upstairs with me, but my boys was in the lower part of the house. That's where their bedrooms were. And I remember we never wanted to go down there because of their feet. I mean, and I'm not trying to talk about my boys, because my boys was clean. You know, my son B. Will always got best dressed and all of that. But they just.
But his feet was funky.
I don't know what it was. It was just like I would go down there acting a fool, boy. Like
fungus
what the?
In his toes.
No, I'm not gonna say no son had no fungus. No.
Well, okay,
but it was just like
his feet stinking.
Because me and my girls was upstairs. The house smelled all nice upstairs, but we go downstairs to their bedroom and the rec room, and they have like a odor to it or something.
It was possibly. Because your son, he needs to call in, but I'm gonna try to help him out right now. It was probably laundry. Because if they were playing sports,
and they were,
because with teenage boys, because I had this with my boys, if they only do that laundry once a week, but they go into practice every day.
I wash clothes every day.
You did clothes every day?
Mm-hmm. It was me and 4 kids.
Help Stacy D's son, right?
I just don't know what it was, but they just had. And then you guys, ladies. How about men? They think they can pass gas all the time.
Like women are not letting out farts, D.
But we don't do it in front of y'all.
Did I not say last week, my 2-year-old, did she not lean over to the side and let out a fart in the restaurant in front of the waitress?
She don't know no better yet.
It starts at 2.
She don't know no better.
I'm saying
but y'all think y'all can just fart all the time, but then we can't. I mean, like we laughing and playing, then we actually let one out. Baby, come on now. Yours stink just like mine.
All I'm saying is this mess starts at a very early age with y'all.
Can we set up some grounds? When can the woman pass gas in front of the man?
Never! I want to spell that part.
Oh, it's not right.
Some of them denied and said it was you.
This is true. I don't know if you all can hear the professor, but sometimes the woman will lie and say it's you. And let me say, because my wife will say in the morning, "Ooh, you had bad gas last night." How you know it was me?
Because you woke her up with all your gas.
But how she know it didn't come from her?
Because
she could have woke up from her own farts.
No, we don't never do that. We're women.
How do you not wake up from your own farts?
We don't fart. We poop.
Oh.
They be trying to be sneaky. That's why you don't know it's them or not. They blame you.
All I know is I do not accept responsibility for what wakes this woman up. Okay, sometimes I'm like, honey, I think that came from your cheeks. It came from her cheeks. Blaming the man. Blaming the man. Well, that's true.
Okay. Well, anyway, wives, in some ways, submit yourself to your husband so that if any of you do not believe, if any of them do not believe the word, they may be won over without words by the behavior of their wives. When they see the purity and the love and the sacrifice of your life. And you can win your, because there are a lot more women in the church than there are men. And if we act the same way at church, at home, they be like, oh, heck no, let me go up in this place. My woman up here cooking, cleaning, doing everything, not cussing me out. Let me go to this place where she's coming from. We have to look at it like that. It says it in the Bible, you guys.
So your
1 Peter
behavior.
3 and 1 and 2.
Hold on, this, because we might need to spend just a couple of seconds on that. What you're saying, Stacy D, is that a woman should conduct herself behaviorally in a manner that however she would carry herself in the house of the Lord, carry yourself that way outside of the house of the Lord. If you're not cussing me out in the church, why are you cussing me out over dinner?
That's right.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't even remember the last time I even said a cuss word. I haven't cussed in so many years.
You used to be real good.
Boy, I used to let a mile go.
I remember your cussing. You was a professional.
I was
cussing.
a professional.
I learned cussing from you, probably.
Probably did. and I gave you the whole dictionary and the definition. I sure did.
Some of the words you use, I think you made some of them.
You know I did. You know I will. I told you I need to have my ghetto dictionary.
Yes.
Sure. Yes. But by treating your husband with respect, using kind words, acting Christ-like, as the Bible says, that wives have the power to bring their husbands to the cross. Bye. Have a good one. Bring them to the cross.
None of this.
No, because we're on the air, Mr. Professor.
That means none of this.
Good health is so hard to find,
The
y'all.
professor is exiting the stage.
He's exiting the building.
And he's letting us know. He wants this to be acknowledged.
He's going to work now.
By us and all the listeners. Professor, have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye now.
No snapping the fingers, rolling the eyes.
Oh, she's going to do that. All right, carry on.
Okay, cool. It is so important to encourage our husbands, and this is like this Proverbs 31 woman is going to so many different weeks that we have talked about. Once again, it's so important to encourage our husbands. They need to know that we believe in them. They want to know they still got it. We just discussed that last week, didn't we?
Yes.
So often it happens that once we are married, those little we never really paid attention to now seem to be like huge problems. Not only that, but living with someone is very difficult after dating someone, like I said earlier. But true love is unconditional. And I used to say that all the time.
I kind of question that.
You know what he was.
Here's the reason why. I'm not just questioning it because 50% of marriages end in divorce.
And maybe they don't be true love. Maybe they be business partnerships.
But
maybe the business partnerships is the one that lasts.
isn't it? Well, actually, you might have a point. Can't you truly love someone but still have conditions? See, when people hear the word conditions, they assume that this is something negative. When I think of conditions, I think of the boundaries that every person is supposed to have. I'm talking about if a woman is raised that, okay, you are not to be disrespected by your man. He is not to call you all
your name and all that.
kind of bees and et cetera, et cetera. And you are not to be physically abused.
Oh, yes.
You are not to be with a man who's abusing your children.
That's what goes right on up in here. I have that in here.
Okay, those are conditions.
Those
to
are
me.
Conditions. That's
and
how you
so,
look at those as conditions.
Well, yes, and so to say, well, because a lot of men will say this, and I see this in therapy all the time, well, she doesn't love me unconditionally, and I'm like, well, you're abusive. She can't have the condition that you not abuse her. She can still love you, but she has a right as an individual, a human being, to have those conditions. You don't get to abuse me and treat me like crap. You don't get to abuse my kids. Like, no. So I don't
and see,
know.
I look at unconditional differently.
Okay, we need another definition.
Maybe my look at unconditional. Okay. But love is unconditional. Just as Christ loved us, grace covered our imperfections with his blood, we need to offer grace and mercy to our husbands. Be ready to forgive. Offer an encouraging smile. Hi! Don't be so quick to judge. Praise his efforts. Thank him for working hard, or even when he don't do something all the way right, but he is being thoughtful. Let him know you notice those little bitty things that will usually go unnoticed. I am not advocating that a wife allowed her husband to abuse or take advantage of her. I'm often baffled by women who are offended by the suggestions that a wife serve her husband. Suggesting a wife should serve means honor, love, and respect her husband. It's not suggesting that a man has no responsibility in marriage. God created woman because he saw that is not, God created woman because he saw that is what was not good for men to be alone. God knew two are better than one. Okay. My next one is strength and endurance. She is energetic and strong, a hard worker. She makes sure her dealings are profitable. Her lamp burns late into the night. That's Proverbs 31, 17, and 18. A Proverbs 31 woman does not sit around, wait on everything to fall into place. She takes initiative. She is not shaken when it comes up against an obstacle. She knocks them down, tears them down, and make a plan to make it right.
I love all of that.
All of that.
I love all of that.
Love all of that. So everybody understand, being a Proverbs 31 woman encompasses so many things, okay? Now my next one is being well-rounded. Listen to this. Her hands are busy spinning thread, her fingers twisted fiber. And that's verse 19. And people like, ain't nobody doing no fiber or doing nothing like, hell no.
Please don't take it concretely. Yeah. Apply it to today.
That was the Old Testament. And you know, the Old Testament, if you was being an adulteress, you would get stoned in the middle of the square.
Fortunately, we live in the days of the New Testament.
Exactly. That I just run over you and your side cheek. How about that?
That sounds worse than a stone. That sounds worse than a stone. Stacy, we need you to live in the days of the Old Testament.
I just go back to the Old Testament.
Oh my God.
Okay. But I took that as being well-rounded. That means you are planning and preparing a good meal for your husband and family. You learn to use improvement on computer skills for research and when needed. You'll know first aid. You know how to mend the clothes, or at least know where to take them to get the clothes mended. You can plan your days and weeks and be productive, not just going around and not getting nothing done. Communicate effectively with your husband, your co-workers, and fellow church people. Know how and where, how to buy good food, prepare, do your couponing and things of that nature at the best price. And you know what? And we, as being a Proverbs 31 woman, we are usually the ones that's over the money. So you have to find the best thing for your household. Decorate a house for appeal, comfort, and investment. So not only don't go up in there painting your wild future because that's the new thing, but when you get ready to sell it,
right.
You have to be mindful of everything. That's being a well-rounded woman.
Increase the value of that home. Yes, now come on now.
Learn how to use appliances and tools inside and outside. And also, if your husband's outside working on his car.
Okay. Are we still coming straight from the word right now?
Did you say appliance?
What appliance? A KitchenAid back in the Old Testament.
No, we're applying to now. That's been a well-rounded woman.
Okay. So, Stacy, this is wonderful. Okay, the D, I thought you was read just straight from the word, and so I'm
reading from the word, but I'm trying to,
a few minutes ago.
But I'm trying to apply it to today.
Yes, thank you, D. Thank you.
Being a well-rounded woman. If your husband's outside fixing on the car, you go sit down behind and be like, okay, baby, teach me these different tools, or so you can help him and things of that nature. This is being a Proverbs 31 woman. These are the attributes of that woman. Yes. Okay.
Preach.
Charitable. She extends a helping hand to the poor and open her arms to the needy. That's verse 20. That means that you help everybody if they in a needy capacity. And you have to also pray about it and understand, because there's so many gangsters out there, not gangsters, but gamers out there that's trying to get over things.
And gangsters.
And gangsters, yeah. I mean, instead of doing Christmas, why don't y'all go down to the food kitchen and do things like that? And also, you have to teach your children about charitable. Teach them about a giving heart. Okay. You have to be a provider. And now I know everybody's talking about, hold on, the man is supposed to provide. And this is true.
I'm loving this part right here.
Listen to this. She has no fear of winter for her household, for everyone has warm clothes. See, it's not about the money. It's about you making sure your house is right. Okay? And I remember when I was younger and I had those children, I would buy clothes out of season.
Early, in advance.
Yes. I'm going to tell you about my mom. She was so funny, and I used to really make fun of her. Because guess what? By July 30th, she's still with Christmas shopping.
Wow.
And I never, and when my mother was alive, I never had to buy school supplies. My kids, I never had to buy underwear or coats. She supplied all of that.
She's a provider.
She was a provider. Thank you. She was a provider.
She was Proverbs 31.
Yes, she was.
Right.
Yes, she was. She was a provider. So it's not talking about paying the bills, but providing for your home to make sure your home is secure. Okay. Here go number 7. And I labeled this as well dressed. She makes her own bedspreads. She dresses in the finest linen and purple gowns. And we knew in the Bible, purple means royalty.
Yeah.
And she makes her own bedspreads. She was a very well-dressed woman. She always, remember we was talking about going outside with those hair bonnets?
Oh, yes. Yeah, and slippers.
And slippers.
And big pink rollers.
And we don't do that. We don't do that.
Ladies,
and those single women, you most definitely, you don't, and I'm going back to the Bible because I most definitely believe that we are Ruth. And if you're going to meet your Boaz, you're not going to meet your Boaz looking like that. You're going to meet, Pastor Star, what you say, you're going to meet your Bo.
You know what?
Boaz.
I'm liking this part. So it's in the word.
It's in the word.
That a woman is to dress and carry herself. So, see, we needed this when we were talking about the bonnets. There was a lot of controversy over that whole bonnet thing. Everybody was all over Monique. Monique was speaking from the word.
She was speaking from the word, most definitely.
All right.
Every time you step outside, you're supposed to look your best.
Yes. Okay. D, I think we're going to have to do part 2. we're gonna have to
Oh
do
my
a
God.
part 2 on Proverbs 31 woman.
And we stopped at well dressed. And guess what? Y'all got 1, 2. I got 3 more sheets of paper.
Okay, and so next week when we do part 2, I want you to start with the well dressed part because I think we really need to get that out there. We gonna pick up with that.
Okay, I'm actually gonna go in and do some more picking on that and find some more things about that in the Bible that shows that we're supposed to keep ourselves done right.
All right, well, that is our show for today. We want to thank everyone for joining us today. We are back in the station. Hopefully it ran smoothly. We'll know later. But thank you for joining us. And remember, worry about nothing.
And pray about everything. And look at my babies!
Oh, Lord, the dogs are up.
That's Sorry, you guys, with the Adidas. You know, he was clean and well-dressed, too, just like his queen. And there go my new baby. We haven't named her yet, but she's coming with a name soon.
Everybody send in your name suggestions. Thank you for joining us. God bless and take care.